just the nicest, most talented guys, and they're always kind of up for shit.
Let's see if I can figure out how to record audio on here without... Oh yeah, it's working. No, but I don't want the music, you guys. Stop it. No musics. Alright? Okay, we're rolling.
Sweet.
It's happening.
Do we have to have these on? Do we?
I always
that's part of the
I always do. So far, I mean, if you don't want to hold it. Do you want to switch since you have a Fender affiliation?
No, I know. They're really cool that way, I gotta say. At least so far.
Do you have a signature coming out?
No.
Do you care about that stuff?
No. I don't. I actually don't care about guitars that much. I mean, as far as like a thing, like I've tended towards Gibsons because when I was a teenager, I thought that I liked Gibsons, and so I got a bunch of Gibsons that I never really got another kind of
Sweeney
guitar.
played one. And
Yeah, I know, for all the greats.
they use Gibson guitars because they want the best.
Yes, that's right, and Pearl drums.
Yeah.
But like, I found weirdly actually like Telecasters. I think are kind of the coolest guitar, but I never owned one until recently, till Fender was kind enough to get me one. But I don't really think that I'm not going crazy big for gear. That's just me.
I never was a Strat person, and then I got this, and I've owned. Yeah, so this is a Squier, 80s Squier, made in Japan thing, right? And it had one of those stupid Phase 1 tremolos on it.
Okay.
You can see where the lock used to be back here, and it was this monstrosity, and I had it filled and put this half telly bridge on it. These brackets hold my Gizmotron. Do you know what a Gizmotron is? I'll show you off camera.
That's is that code?
It's code for Gizmotron.
Okay.
It's a thing that sits over here. It's a mechanical, almost like it's not like an EBO because that doesn't touch the string.
Mm-hmm.
It does it magnetically. This is a mechanical thing that's got 6 little wheels that you push down with a lever, and when you push it down, the wheels are spinning always.
Okay.
And the wheel is at an angle, and it comes down and touches the string, and it sounds like. Jimmy Page used one at the beginning of like in the evening or something like that.
So is it a sustainy thing? Can I just go?
Well, yeah, you could just hold it down and it would keep spinning on the string forever.
I can't remember what the sound is though. In the evening.
Sound. It sounds. Maybe I'll cut it in right here.
Okay.
It sounds
like this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It sounds almost like a bow, almost like an EBO, but not. But
more complicated.
It actually touches the string.
Right.
It's richer.
Richer, deeper.
It's a richer sound.
Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, and this has happened to me a couple times. I'll buy a guitar that I think is a beater guitar.
Right. And
the 2 guitars that I've gotten that were my beaters.
You added all this fancy shit.
I put all this shit on it. Now the other one I had a MIDI pickup on it, because I can't play keys, and so I thought, all right, I could do it this way.
Did you use it and do keys?
I took it off because it became one of my favorite guitars. It's like a $600 PRS single cut thing, a Bernie Marsden signature, and I put a intonatable wraparound bridge and some new pickups in it, and it's crushes. It sounds incredible. Wow. And this thing, what is this? I don't know.
I like it. Look, I like the silver pick guard. I was going to ask a question about
that was a custom too. I
noticed that. I don't think that Fender does that. I was going to ask about the.
If you want
to. Never mind.
If you want to manicure yourself in the middle of a show, you can do it.
Yeah. I was going to ask you when you used. So you never did do the MIDI keyboard lines on a guitar?
Yeah.
You did.
Have I ever?
Yes. I mean, when you had it as a MIDI thing because you don't know how to.
This isn't MIDI, but the other. Yeah. I would play keyboards. I have recorded demos and put synth and keys, mostly some strings, all kinds of stuff.
All off the guitar.
Yeah. It's cool.
I've never used MIDI.
It's great.
Yeah. That's what I hear.
I use the Fishman thing. Mostly because I used to work for him and I got it for free, but also it's really good.
that I've always I've always been kind of interested in trying to, not that I'm good at it, but like the voicings of a piano are different than a guitar.
Yeah.
So when you're pretending to play piano on guitar, do you play differently? Do you come up with different things?
A little bit, but again, yes, sometimes, but it also makes for an interesting keyboard set.
Right.
I grew up playing, like we were talking before, I grew up playing metal.
Yeah.
So I knew this, I knew a power chord.
Right.
And then I knew wheelie, 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 look at me, look at me. And that's all I knew.
Right.
But then when I started learning all the different chord inversions up the neck, it kind of opened up a lot, right?
What's a chord inversion?
Well, just like, here's a C.
Right.
Here's a C.
Oh, different ways.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, you can play a C. You don't have to play the root on the bottom. When I learned that, it seemed like a revelation.
No, yeah, completely.
But that's like the first thing that a piano player learns.
Yes, yeah, I know. So, wait, who told you that?
I don't know if anyone ever
Or you
told
figured
me
it out
that.
yourself?
Well, I probably read it in a magazine or something. You know, I read a lot about what people's philosophies on guitar playing, and I understood what they were saying, but it never really sunk in.
Is there any guitar philosophy that did sink in that you could recall reading and be like, oh shit?
The thing that always stuck with me, but I've only been able to do it a couple times in my recording life, was when people talk about composing a solo, starting with a bit,
Right.
and ending with a vibe, but
Go from
maintaining
point,
the spirit of the song.
Being narrative in your
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always something that I thought was interesting. People talk about it a lot. Not that many people nail it. I almost never did.
I'm thinking about things that I read that really stuck with me. You know, when reading an interview with somebody, and I'm not kidding. I read an interview with Ike Turner when I was young, and he was talking about playing or music, and he kept on talking about. He's like, "Well, if I can't get my nut to it," and I'm a child. I'm like, "What is he talking about?"
The guitar nut?
He keeps talking about his nut, getting his nut, and if it doesn't make him want a nut, he's not into it. And then he goes, orgasm. Finally, in the interview, and I remember
Because the interviewer
just being like, Jesus. And then I was like, okay, so that was the first time. So I associate reading guitar philosophies with nutting, with getting your nut. And then the other thing was, I remember in an interview with Keith Richards where the interviewer is very afraid of him, and Richards starts talking.
Were you the interviewer?
No, I was just psyched. I guess I was afraid, but it was different. I was engaged. But this was years and years ago, and I think I actually talked to him about it too. But I guess the interview was like, Keith Richards just starts talking about how rhythm is the only thing that matters and the right hand is the only thing that matters. And he starts banging on a table.
Yeah.
And I remember that making an impression on me for some reason, because I had never heard anybody say that your right hand mattered, much less that it was the only thing that fucking mattered. And he's, in my opinion, it made an impression on me that I started thinking about it, that I started getting into finger picking and all this kind of stuff. But it was all around the same time, but I kept on thinking about reading about Keith Richards banging his right hand on a table, saying that this is all that matters.
Somewhere along the line, someone said to me, your left hand is the piano player in your personal band, and your right hand is your drummer. And that stuck with me. It still never sunk in.
But what's interesting though is, but you can also say that your right hand is the piano player, because piano is a rhythmic, is a tapping thing. You know, just thinking about that. I was thinking like your right hand is almost like your mouth in a way, and then these are your thoughts. But nothing's going to fucking really happen unless.
But you're fancy. You've sung in a band. I can't do all that stuff at once.
Well, no, I can't. No. I'm saying just strictly as a thing. Like, you're thinking about stuff over here and you're doing all these kind of things, but it's never going to. They're going to hit when you know. And so timing being everything. So just sort of thinking about that no matter what you're doing here, if it lands in a weird way, it doesn't. If you're talking too fast or talking too slow, or talking like Christopher Walken, where you're putting things in the wrong, I can't even do it, but
accents in wrong.
Emphasizing a thing, you know, or whatever. Like, that's what I mean by your mouth, you know, like it's what comes out is when you hit it, you know.
The best thing I ever did for my guitar playing, because I showed up in Seattle with a Jackson guitar
Respect.
and an amp with like some built-in chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1993,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a shaved head and bright white docks and steel toe docks.
What gave you the idea to wear bright white dots?
I just found them in a used store, and that's what I could afford.
Right.
I would prefer a black pair, but then it just became my thing.
But if you were metal, why did you shave your head?
Well, grunge had happened, and I had found out about a lot of other music.
Like Helmet? Was Helmet like
I loved Helmet.
that to me was like a moment where a lot of metal dudes shaved their head was Helmet.
I loved Helmet, and I wanted to be in Helmet.
Okay, right. So that's
So I showed up, and I would call these ads, and I would show up with my shit in my beater car, and there's some dudes with the things and the stuff, and they'd open the door, and they'd just say no and shut the
that
door.
really happened to you?
Yeah, that happened to me.
Several times?
Well, it happened once, but the way I tell the story, I like to tell it.
Yeah. It was like a series of doors just slammed.
Yeah, but then I lied my way into a band playing bass.
Yeah, I've done that. Well, I didn't lie. They just said, "Do you play bass?" I said, "Yeah," because
Totally.
it's a 4-string guitar.
But as it turns out, you approach it a lot differently.
I guess, you know, yeah, it's funny. I do I like to play guitar without a pick. I like playing bass with a pick, which is weird. And bass is just physically harder to play, just because the strings are bigger. But I still think it's neat. I don't think I want to get like one of the biggest bass players in the world, a famous dude. I don't know if I want to blow up his spot, but this dude who's like you've seen him play a million times, and he's Mr. Bass.
Geddy Lee.
No, actually, fuck it. This guy Pino Palladino, who's the dude, and I got to record with him, and just somehow when we were chatting, he was just like, "Well, yeah, I'm a guitar player." He's like, people just ask me to play bass, which was so cool because I was like, all right, you know, I imagine sort of like a disturbance in the force of bass dogs when that happened, but it's like. It really is just 4 strings on a piece of wood, and kind of there's no. I mean, I feel like there's a religion around guitar versus guitar religion, and there's bass religion. There's all this kind of like stuff, but I think that exists for people to sell you stuff,
Right.
and that maybe for me it really did help to think of it as a piece of.
Right.
Wires and stuff like that, and then it kind of makes it a little more fluid between what a bass is and what a guitar is and stuff like that. But I don't know. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I just didn't even like when I picked up the bass. I didn't know. I was scared shitless because I had lied my way in. Oh yeah, I borrowed a bass.
Oh, so you never even?
No, I didn't know.
Oh,
I didn't want to have anything to do with the bass.
Yeah.
You couldn't shred on a bass, as far as I was concerned.
Right. So you picked up, walked in, we're like plugged in, and we're like,
Yeah, let's do it. And
let's do it.
no, but I had learned the songs.
Right.
Because I wanted the gig.
Were they original?
It was my first band.
They were an original band?
Yeah.
And this was Alice in Chains?
No.
Oh.
Two different mics.
Right.
So I overcompensated by really trying to be fancy. But trying to because and then in doing that I learned passing notes and and then I learned
interesting.
and then when I went back to the guitar I was like
walk up
now I know how to play all these chords
Yeah.
because I know where these other notes are.
Passing
Before
notes
it was
was huge. You just
this note, that note, this note, that note. That's all I cared about.
I didn't know about a passing note until I was until I had done bands and stuff like that and made records, and I was like, oh right.
Right, that's what makes music interesting.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah. It's like actually things there's interior things that are hinting at other things, and I think
How disappointing.
Yeah. the guy that the idea of a narrative thing I think is always cool to keep in mind. You know what I mean? That like it's gotta go. It's cool if it goes from point A to point whatever, and that there's things, like foreshadowing, and
They can't all be Seven Nation Army.
yes, but that song's made a lot of money.
That song is great. I wish I could write a 1-part song though.
Yeah,
2-part. I guess it's 2 parts, but it's
just the one riff.
that's it. No chorus. It's amazing.
The only bummer is that it replaced rock and roll, the Gary Glitter song. But the only bummer is what Gary Glitter did, I guess. That's the big sad part. But it's pretty incredible because that song was everywhere.
Don't worry, I'll edit that out.
But it's true. But they did, but they did replace it. They were like, okay, Gary Glitter never existed and we're going to shove in 7. I just imagine like Jack might be like, all right.
Maybe he set the whole thing up. Conspiracy.
That would be so sick.
Conspiracy theory.
Write a song that can replace Gary Glitter, then knock Gary Glitter out. I guess we're not allowed to talk about Gary Glitter, though.
Really? This is the second time someone has been on the couch and said we're not allowed to talk about this, that, or the other.
No, I love Gary Glitter, but he's been demonized to the point. Well, yeah. Did he do anything, or did he look at stuff?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that he got. He
got popped because what was on his computer,
and I think he was sort of. He went off to Southeast Asia, and then he got popped doing some.
He did. Okay.
Naughty stuff.
Oh,
right. Underage. Yeah, no, it's real creepy.
Mexico, that.
Super creep. Super creep.
What was the other thing that people told you about, or that they couldn't talk about?
My buddy AC said, "Oh, did you know Slash was the first guitar player in Poison?" And I was like, "Is that true?"
That's not true, is it?
Fuck, I don't know. I went ahead and left it in the episode, so maybe it is. And then
before CC DeVille.
Yeah. And then I said, there was Richie Kotzen for a minute, who's
but he's like a shredder guy.
He's an incredible shredder and can sing like
he's really pretty.
Crazy.
Beautiful.
I mentioned how pretty he was.
Yeah, like beautiful blue eyes.
He's in town tonight. You could.
You're like a part of the concert.
No, he doesn't care about me.
Come on.
He doesn't care about my feelings.
But would you want to have a Richie Kotzen on the show who's like that good? Is it better than
I would make him
middling guys?
I would make him do like Call Me Maybe or something. I would make him do the dumb. That's kind of my idea. Anyone that's really, really, really good.
Yeah, dumbed down.
I'm gonna make him do the dumbest stuff. This stuff that's the only funny.
Right.
Yeah. And it's my show, so I can do that.
That's true.
And if they don't want to do it, then fuck off.
Yeah.
But then AC said, I saw Poison on the last tour, and CeCe's playing incredibly well. He's like, as an adult, gone and woodshedded, like Judas Priest style. Like he just came back and he was incredible. And I said, well, if fucking Richie Kotzen replaced me in my band, and then I had a chance to come back, I'd probably
get our shit together too. He was my favorite part of Poison always.
CeCe?
Yes.
We had all those guitars.
He was just hilarious.
Holy shit.
He did. Remember, he did all those great interviews. That's all I remember is that he'd be like, "It turned from the house of whores to the house of horrors." I don't know where I saw that, but it really stuck with me.
He's pretty great.
Yeah.
So you have interviewed a lot of. So you are kind of you're like would you prefer to be known as the Geraldo Rivera of guitar interviews or the Barbara Walters?
I'm going to let you be both those things because I fell into it. But Barbara Walters for sure.
Yeah.
Fuck Geraldo Rivera. That guy is a piece of human garbage. Barbara Walters, I don't know as much about whether she's a garbage person or not, but I know for a fact that Geraldo Rivera is. So I'd rather be Barbara Walters. In fact, I think Barbara Walters was really cool at one point, so I'll take her. However, even being a journalist wasn't that. It was just an accident that I had the idea for my show, which is different than your show. But my idea was just like show me how to play something.
Right.
And I stole it from Richard Thompson, who did a BBC show. Richard Thompson is, you know who he is? He did this BBC show on how to play guitar in the early 80s. And
that's sick.
Yeah. And his bit, it's like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and he teaches you. I was like, well, fuck.
Why didn't you watch episode 2?
Well, no. But I mean, when I saw it, I was like, well, that's everything that a guitar teacher never showed me that could have got me way the fuck ahead. Which is,
I have to start another fucking. Yeah. I've only got, so that's why I have the timer on there. I've only got.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Richard Thompson did this BBC show, which is where I got the idea for Guitar Moves, and in 10 minutes he just told me stuff on like how to hold a guitar, how to tune a guitar, how to just some really smart things that nobody had said before, and to me, and I was like, oh shit, had I known that, I could have saved myself a lot of time. And I was talking to somebody else who felt the same way, and then the idea of a show, where it's just like, yeah, I wish there was just a show that kind of cut to the chase about interesting things about guitar that wasn't a guitar teacher.
Right.
So, that's where that was the idea of that show. Hi, should we say
That's
hi?
my wife.
Nice.
Hi, baby, we're taping.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so, but as far as like having a show or it being anything that got popular, that was a complete shock to me.
Right.
I just thought it would be a useful thing that a couple people would get a kick out of.
And so as it ramped up
Right.
and got sort of...
I never got a sense of anything ramping up at all. Yeah, I was always told like the show's not doing well, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody's like, the show's doing really well. It was just a normal... somebody said, you have like a bazillion or whatever, a large amount of hits. And I was like, no, I had been told the opposite. And that's because I never went on the site. I never really checked out the site that the show was on. I would just go, like, then when somebody said, just because I don't follow that stuff, and then it's just somebody said, oh yeah, on YouTube. So I was like, oh wait, shit, oh right, the show's on YouTube too. So I was kind of thought of it as a thing that was going to go up on YouTube and that somebody may or may not watch. You know what I mean?
So your first, I'm mining you for
of course.
for advice right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So your first guests,
were my friends.
right?
Yes.
And then as you moved on,
As I moved on, like I think actually St. Vincent was the first one where I actually knew her, but I was friends with her. I knew her from the coffee shop, but she was the first one where the people who paid for the show were like you should do this.
Yeah.
You know. So that was the first one that was like kind of a cold, like going in and being like, oh, I really just knew her socially and knew that she was really good at guitar.
really good.
Yeah, and knew that she had a whole, because she went to school for it and all that stuff. And, so I kind of, but still, that was exciting / nerve-wracking. And then I ended up doing a different show where it was sort of meeting people that I didn't know anything about and actually getting more technical and stuff, which was called Guitar Power, where I had a couple friends on, but I did
I don't know Guitar Power.
check it out. It's cool. It's just more tech.
I should have done
It's-
a little more research.
It's fine. It's just a little more techy, and also the idea was that it was a blind date, whereas Guitar Moves was, with the exception of St. Vincent, I think everybody on the show was somebody that I had a pretty deep relationship with, or was a super fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so but like for example, like James Williamson, that I had no connection to, and that was something that I wanted and actually got.
Right.
That somebody at the parent company found him. But-
Yeah, your list of guests has definitely inspired me to do.
Yeah.
To
But like the key thing his management came to us, but because they liked the show or whatever. But Keith's got incredibly cool management. Like meaning
I can't
They know what's up.
everything
It's all women.
that he has is cool.
it's all women. That's right. He's smart. He surrounds himself by women. Like everybody's a woman in his camp that I saw.
I don't remember that.
Yes, it's a good one. But yeah, but as far as getting them, it's surprising. I wanted to I wanted so bad was Dolly Parton since the beginning, and just got consistently shut down.
Really?
But I could never get to her. My whole thing was like, well, she knew what it was. I think she'd be down to do it.
How do you do that? How do you get on her?
It was really hard to get her. I don't know.
Get a plane to
I finally-
write a message in the clouds.
Somebody that I worked with was working with her and doing a movie with her, and I felt so bad. Like, so I hit up this person. I was like, this is crazy, but you're working with her. Turns out I'm doing the show. It's kind of a big show. Would you maybe, I don't know. I was like, I'm really I'm at a loss. And the person was obviously just thought I was I don't think the message ever got communicated, nor did that person ever even return my phone call.
Right.
So I felt embarrassed about it. So I don't really know what to tell you about getting.
That's something you have to do in showbiz.
Yeah, I think so.
You've worked on both sides of showbiz.
Yes. Yeah, but it was funny because it was one of those things where I thought the person would be like, no, I'd either get a yes or a no from the person, like I'll ask her or I won't ask her. But instead it was like, never talk to me.
It's funny what people will accept and feel awkward about.
Yeah.
Something like people will ask me all the time, hey, I live in wherever.
Right.
Can you get me on the list with guns?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not in guns and movies.
They tend to put their friends on the guest list.
I'm not in that band.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Like they decide who gets on their guest list.
Yeah. Yeah, but bro, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to my friend.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what happened in this case.
So you were a publicist for a long time?
In my 20s, yeah.
For a bit of time?
Yeah, probably 6-7 years.
That's a long time. That's longer than I've had any job.
Yeah, it's funny because it was such a cool, easy day job. Things were different, but this was in the early 90s. My friend Steve Martin started so it was like, I'm going to start a PR company. What's that? It's like, it's kind of like phone sales. Okay, why are you starting it? Because all of our friends are getting signed and to major labels, and the major labels don't know anything about fanzines. We could sort of help. He had a really good idea, which is basically sort of and because this guy Steve Martin played in an agnostic front, and I had played in this little band called Skunk. We literally were an unknown band, but we had experience.
I heard you guys stink.
Yes, and you heard correctly. So I kind of fell into it, but the main point was that it was like getting to help out. It was all friends bands. Again, like all of our clients were friends, except for Caius, we know I called, like I told you about. But like they're all people that we came up playing with who were that, so it didn't really feel too much like a job. I felt like I was getting paid to help my friends maintain what they had / get bigger. And then also it was cool because I could go on tour and walk away from it and stuff like that. And
you could maybe even work on that was pre-cell phone.
Yeah, no, I couldn't work on the road. And also the whole thing was I was doing a band and I kept that separate. Like people didn't know that I did a band. A lot of like even music friends didn't know that I was doing a band because I felt icky about mixing the two.
And they would be like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah, oh, totally. No, like Josh never knew that I played. I never told him once that I played music. And like
he knows now.
Yeah. So it was kind of like it really was a day job that, and I learned a couple of things, but there was all more kind of dark lessons about media and how people act and stuff like that. But yeah, but that's sort of what my skill set seemed, or the only way I knew how to make money was working at this PR company, it seemed. And then I started getting paid to play music in my early 30s, which was totally unplanned.
What a great thing, though.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. And that I mean, you've done it. It's amazing when you get paid to play music.
I love it.
Yeah. It's really...
There's a real pendulum to it, though, we've talked about.
Yes, because when you're not doing it, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Meaning you could play a really big show and then the next day it's like...
Oh, yeah, there's been plenty of times when we, played in front of 40 to 60,000 people. Right. And then you get on a plane the next day, you have a travel day, and the next day I'm back to work.
Yeah.
Whatever that day gig was. Could have been working in a coffee shop, could have been working in a warehouse.
I had somehow, because of maybe my back, I don't know what, but it had become clear to me that there's no fucking way I'm gonna make it, and I can't be a professional musician. That's a silly dream. And also that I started to kind of think that it was cool to have a job. Like I remember seeing a bumper sticker at a bluegrass festival, a bumper sticker on somebody's case who was shredding, and it said real musicians had day jobs. I was like, okay, cool, because it is true that like it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's cool to be great at music, but the connection between getting paid and being great is tenuous, and it's entirely luck and position. Luck/positioning, it's like you could also get paid playing music by just constantly trying, making, and sort of possibly making the quality of your life not so great because you're hustling so goddamn hard.
Right.
But
I know those people.
Yeah. It's uninspiring to me, But then again, I mean, for me, I just think that I'm insanely lucky. I mean,
I don't believe in luck. I have this conversation with my wife all the time. My wife says, we are so lucky that we have this life. And I say, there are some things that are fortunate, but we didn't accidentally end up here.
No, I think you make your own luck.
Yeah. So if I throw a basketball at a hoop at half court, and it's my intention to put it through, and it goes through, I'm not lucky.
Well, if
the odds were against me.
Yes, but as far as making your own luck, then if you are shooting from half court and you've practiced, then there's less randomness going involved.
For sure.
But it's still weird about luck. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's still like, well, I was still born to nice parents with, being of the race that's in control of America,
right,
that allowed me to do this. Even that is like,
those are things that work in your favor.
Is that luck or fortune?
It's fortune, I think.
Okay, fortune.
I don't know that that's luck. I think that's...
But like, I mean, okay, so look, but I still think like you make your... It sounds like we were talking about before, like we get to play with, people that we, like grew up admiring and so it's not magic that happened. We were talking about like both getting to meet Iron Maiden or getting to be backstage on Iron Maiden show and shit like that.
Crying.
It's happened to both of us separately. Crying because of our good luck or fortune. And I guess what I was saying is like, I guess like you obsess on something for 30 years, then it's not exactly luck, like, but I still feel really lucky because I just know people who are every bit as talented and it's just, like the Bricks. And it's like when your number's up, your number's up.
Right.
Like, I have 5 friends who have their fucking fingers cut off, and they're great guitar players. That's bad luck, right?
Yeah, that is bad luck. That is misfortune.
Yeah, and sort of right place, right time. But you got to know.
But you're not a dick, and so you will continue to have good opportunities come your way because opportunities come based on reputation and your ability to work with people. Yeah. Be cool.
Yeah. I guess fortune. Yeah, I guess fortune is a better way. Is a more focused description.
Yeah. Luck is a bullshit thing, I think.
Give me another example of how luck is I mean, I believe you.
We're just lucky, just being lucky. I don't
just like boom.
If you're in the right place at the right time, you didn't, unless you took a wrong turn.
That's what you're saying, right?
Being in the right place at the right time isn't luck.
Yes, because you cared. You're right. Okay, yeah.
If you intend to be somewhere and you cross paths with someone, I guess that is the fortunate run. In my opinion, that's
right.
Running. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's like I talk to like I have a friend who's like, we're all born with the same chance. And I'm like, no, we're fucking not. It's like if I'm black, cops are trying to kill me.
That's fair.
So that's not fair. So there's still there's something about positioning. I guess it's recognizing that fate has dealt you a hand. Okay, but my thing is it's not the hand that you're dealt. It's how you play it out. And I guess, and that's not luck, that's sort of decisions.
Yeah.
It's decisions after.
Otherwise, I'd be in prison right now.
Yeah, right, yeah. No, it's true. It's like, but it is funny about like how you deal with your good fortune.
Right.
You know, how one chooses to spend what they got.
When you got your very first record deal, how did you feel?
It was a sort of a state of disbelief. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was exciting. I was in college.
You went and bought a bunch of coke and a motorcycle?
No, I didn't party. And I think actually I was in college. My friends went to the music store that we used to go to before we knew how to play music and just like look at stuff, and they just bought 2 Marshall stacks. And I think that's where all the money that we had to spend went.
Full stacks?
No, half stack, shitty JCM. Really, one of the worst at the time Marshall was that you could get in 1987, which was, they were really shrill.
800.
That's the 800. But there's a standard 800. We had this was like, it had too many dials.
There's a 2-channel 800 that came along later, and there's some that have horizontal inputs and some that have vertical.
I think it was the 2-channel one. It was the 2-channel one. Whatever it was, they weren't very good. But that's what we did. But I didn't know because I was, I don't know what, 18 or 19, and I was in college, and so it's like, dude, we got songs, you know, like we were barely together as a band at that point.
Right.
But we made a really good demo, and then this label that we'd never even planned on wanted to sign us, and we had to kind of get our shit together and pretend that we were a band.
Did John record your demo?
And Yellow? No. He came out.
I'm trying to get him to be on the couch, and he's like, I can't play the guitar, and I said, you're lying.
I've never seen him play.
He can play.
He knows theory. He knows, or by theory, I mean, he understands passing notes and things like that. Like he does. Like he makes great musical suggestions. But the band that I'm talking about was Skunk. This was in Jersey in high school. The band that I worked with John and Yellow was like, after I had failed, given up music, played bass in a band because I was like, I may as well play bass because this person doesn't even know.
You quit. We have a similar trajectory.
I gave up rather than quit. I gave up thinking that I knew what the fuck I was doing. Completely. Right. But yeah, kind of similar. Like
I gave up and went to school, and then I lasted 5 weeks, and I quit school, and that's when I decided
you were going to commit.
I'm going to commit, and then within a couple of years, I was making money and touring.
That's sick. I always wanted to play, but never thought about anything. Went to college, hated college, dropped out of college. Yeah, dropped out of college, and then sort of pursued this band that by that point had somehow gotten signed. But again, the band wasn't really that meshed or whatever, and we weren't that great, and it fell apart after about 2 years. So by the time that my friends were graduating from college to tell me what a great decision I had made, I was straight living at my dad's house with no band, with no idea what the fuck to do about anything, and that's when I was like, I need to figure out how to get a job. And I basically asked all the people who liked my band who had jobs if I could get a job, and did, and then was just completely humbled, and somebody asked me to play bass in like a sort of a noise band, and that seemed perfect for me because I was like, okay, cool, because this person, like, that means that I'm not making any decisions.
Right.
I don't know who this person is, and I could just sort of learn how to serve somebody else's idea that was completely alien to me, and that really helped. And then it's
an easier place to be in a band.
It's an easier place, but also in some ways a harder place, just because it's like having to have the imagination. And also, this band was fucking difficult. Like the guy had played with Glenn Branca, and then was really into technical stuff, and it was a lot. The band was called Wider. It was kind of cool. But then I met the drummer, who ended up being the drummer in Chavez. And I'm definitely giving up, though, and just assuming, and I was like, by that point, actually, I was like kind of a decent rock, like my high school band was like a rockist band, like
you
rockist.
You put the formal on that one.
Yeah, and
percussionist.
And we were like rockist, and then when I gave up with that idea, I definitely kind of was like, okay, I don't want to play in a band that sounds like a cool take on Aerosmith or whatever. Like, I want to just do something, even though I already had come from a weird noisy background before. I went